It's the late 1970s. America is still in an oil crisis. You want a car that uses as little gas as possible. What's the solution? This? Oh, come on. This is just getting silly now. This is an HM-Vehicles Freeway. It's a three-wheeled car that was made in Burnsville, Minnesota by a company called HM-Vehicles, or High Mileage Vehicles. They made about 700 freeways between 1979 and 1982. This is either an 80 or an 81 model. Powering this car is a single-cylinder Tecumseh engine, making about 12 horsepower. Yes, it is basically a lawnmower engine. Also optioned on this car were a 16 horsepower Tecumseh engine or a 4 horsepower electric motor. All of these engine options powered the single rear wheel through a CVT transmission and a chain drive. Yes, including the electric motor, ran through a CVT transmission. The company called itself High Mileage Vehicles because they claimed this model with its 12 horsepower engine could manage 100 miles per gallon. Although the owner tells me that 100 miles per gallon figure is pie in the sky numbers, and the best he's been able to achieve with this car is about 50 miles per gallon. I have no idea why they called it a freeway because that name seems rather ironic. If you took this thing on the freeway, it would almost certainly mean death, or at least terror. Let me just briefly show you around this car. I say briefly because there really isn't all that much to show on it. The body is made of fiberglass. The frame is made of square steel tubing, all welded together and not a triangle in sight, so who knows how strong it is. These three rear windows are plexiglass, but the two front windows, as well as the windshield, are glass. Nope, I was wrong. All of the windows in the freeway are plexiglass, including the front windows and the windshield. So I'll tell you more about the front windows in a second. This poorly cut sheet of plexiglass here is your rear window and your access hatch for your small storage compartment back here. It does have a lock on it, but the owner showed me that you don't really even need to move the latch to get this rear window open. You just kind of bend the plexiglass up and you can open it. So don't keep anything valuable back here. Also, as you can clearly see, it's wildly off center. There's quite a bit more plexiglass over here than there is over here, and it just sort of sits on top of this seal. It's not even making contact around most of it. It's a very poorly made car. It's the same situation with these side vent windows. They're just poorly cut sheets of plexiglass sitting on top of a rubber seal. Very minimal thought put into it. The front windows are designed to pop out. I say that in heavy air quotes because they're held in by a normal rubber seal like any other car window from the time period. They're impossible to get in and out of the car. You got to use soapy water and string and, you know, mess with this seal. Now, in all fairness, the right side window isn't really designed to be popped out, but the left side window is designed to be popped out, and the only difference between the seals on the left and right side is that the seals on the door side have little slits cut in them to supposedly make it easier to pop the window in and out of the seal. Really, both windows are nearly impossible to pop out, so the owner just leaves them out because it's hot in here anyway. Also, the windows have little vent holes cut in them. This is your fuel filler and a little air duct for the engine. It's clearly just a bent piece of sheet metal with some rivets. Now, obviously, this thing doesn't have an air conditioner, but it did have a heater until the owner ripped it out. It did have an oil cooler running from the engine that sat next to the driver's seat on the floor covered in some carpet. That was your heater. It also had a little vent line running to the windshield for your defroster. Very minimal heater, but it seems like it would be at least somewhat effective. Also, the car originally had shag carpet glued to the inside for all the carpeting. The owner ripped that out as well because it was obscene. Because this is a three-wheeled car, it's classified as a motorcycle, so there is no safety of any kind. I mean, you could probably tell that by looking at it, but it's not a safe vehicle. This car was built from the ground up by HM Vehicles, who have never made a car before, and boy does it show. This whole thing is extremely crudely built. You get wonderful design flaws like an enormous amount of bump steer in the front suspension when it compresses. You have suspension components that intrude into the driver's footwell. The brake pedal and gas pedal are just welded bent tubes of steel, and the whole fiberglass body just doesn't fit right. And I already pointed out the plexiglass weirdness, and it's a very, very crude car. Also, the body shell was made in two parts, the upper and the lower part of the shell. And you can even see the seam down the middle on the side where all the screws are. And just to prove my point about the body being poorly made, the very next thing that happened was the door got snagged on a piece of the bodywork that had become misaligned and refused to open all the way. It won't open any more than that now. It was opening further just a minute ago. Okay, I'll just squeeze in here like this. Oh. God. How is this seat so uncomfortable? It's like slanted forward or something. Oh, God. On the inside, there isn't a lot. You just have the one seat that I'm sitting in. You have the steering wheel, speedometer in front of you, blinker stalk, hazard light switch on the end of the blinker stalk, 3 gauges over here for your fuel, your oil temperature, and your amp meter. You have your light switch, your wiper switch. The wiper stops wherever you tell it to, which is fun. And your horn switch. Also down on the floor is a foot-controlled bright dim switch for the lights, like was common back in the day. The e-brake is down here on the right side of the car, and it works the exact opposite way you'd expect, because up is disengaged and down is engaged. I think that's enough of the tour, don't you? Why don't we take it for a little spin? Oh boy. Hey, I got in it somewhat easily. Very lawnmower-esque. Yeah, parking brake off. Pull up on it, and let's go. Oh boy. The whole GoPro's vibrating. I'm sorry about that. Oh man, the whole car's vibrating. All right, let's go. Probably smooth out as I get on the road. This is an incredibly uncomfortable seat. The microphone's falling around. Oh, the brakes are squishy. All right, I'm gonna go. Let's go. It's like driving an amusement park go-kart is what it's like. There's no seat belt. The seat's incredibly uncomfortable. I feel like I've got some incredible recline going on. The engine's behind me making all kinds of racket. Uh-oh. I ran out of gas. He told me that about the fuel pump, and I forgot anyway. No, I didn't have the key to the fuel pump position. Yep, I forgot about it immediately. There we go. All right, I'll see if I can go. All right, first mishap out of the way. I didn't have the fuel pump on. Let's get up here and then stop. We're going 10 miles an hour. It doesn't feel as terrifying as the city car, although the brakes are more terrifying. Yeah, it feels a lot like driving an amusement park go-kart meant for children rather than, you know, a car or a motorcycle or anything like that. The mirrors are almost useless because they're vibrating so much. I'm sure the camera's vibrating just as much. All right, we're gonna go out on the street with other cars, otherwise known as traffic. You ready? I'm not. Here. Go. Okay, well, it can't go. Oh, now it's dead. Uh-oh. I killed it. All right. All right. Thank God there's no one behind me. I'm gonna do a handbrake start on the hill. And go. All right. That was tricky. Trickier than it needed to be because it has a CVT and a centrifugal clutch on it. All right, get up to speed a little bit and then give it a little more gas. See what it'll do. He told me to avoid bumps because the bump steer is quite pronounced and the car feels very unstable. Oh, he also told me the top speed is about 50 miles an hour. I'm not going to go anywhere near that. That was just 25. Oh my God. This is a death trap. As the owner stated, who would drive this and then decide, yeah, I'm going to buy it? This is terrifying. The lack of a seatbelt feels weird because I'm in what's ostensibly a car. All right, let's see if I can go without killing it. Off we go into the wild blue yonder. Off we go, running into my dad. This is only 25. I feel like we're doing 50. Oh God, the steering is quite ponderous. Oh my God. This is legitimate terror here. That is so ponderous. Holy crap, there's a lot of play in the steering. Oh my god, this is the least connected thing I would have imagined. Again, I'm only going 25. Let's try to hit 30. Let's go faster. Oh my god, this feels unstable. I'm doing 30 now. There's no reverse in this car, so I'll have to find some place to turn around. All right, let's give it some more gas. He said, don't pull out in front of me. It wanders all over the road. How is this possible? It should be direct. It's not at all. The steering is terrible. And you can't just floor the accelerator or it'll die. Oh my god. The two wheels are on the front. How does it feel like it's going to tip over? Oh my god. It's so ponderous. I know I'm repeating myself. All right, before I turn around, let's give it some real gas. Here. Nothing changed. That's all the way down the accelerator. Nothing happens. Not surprisingly, every single person I see is staring at me because I'm driving down the road in a bright yellow suppository with a lawnmower engine. Alright, I'm slowly getting more used to the car now. As long as I understand that any bump will cause bump steer and the steering does not correct very well, I'm fine. Also, I have to manage the accelerator just right to keep it from dying. And it's very loud in here. There's no sound insulation on this fiberglass shell. I'm just about to lose my voice, just unable to speak to you. He tells me that the electric version of this car didn't have a motor controller. It had two contactor switch for the throttle, and it funneled the electric motor through a CVT. I can't imagine how slow that must have been. And all of the lead-acid batteries were behind the rear seat, or behind the only seat. So it was incredibly tail heavy. The electric version of this car must have been phenomenally terrible. The gas-powered version is awful. I can't imagine making it worse. This has been the most adventurous mile of my life. Oh god, the wheels rub when you turn too hard. He told me that. It's always done that. When you turn the wheel too hard, the wheels rub quite severely on the fenders, on the inner fenders. All right, we're back. And that was a lot of fun. Not in the normal sense of fun, but more in the, I could have died in any second, but I made it back alive sort of fun. Put the e-brake on and get out and never set foot in it again. I don't want one of these. So that's the HM-Vehicles Freeway, a silly little micro car with 3 wheels and no hope. So thanks for watching. Thanks to Kyle Feller for loaning me his Freeway. I'll see you next time.